um, uh, first of all, in order to write your answer effectively, I told you that we need to have the understanding of the knowledge areas and complete comprehension of our pre-scene. So I would be just be recapping your pre-scene in few lines here, so you could understand that what your company is and what is this package holiday industry. So during the exam, you are expected to be familiar with the package holiday industry and the context of your company, Happywell. Context of your company is the pre-scene material. Read it again and again, again and again. That should be so clear to you. I have done the pre-scene analysis. We have done it in a great detail. You spent 2 classes doing the pre-scene analysis, so you could understand that if we are spending 6 hours, more than 6 hours on the pre-scene, this is of great importance for you, right? And that's going to help you in the exam. If you were not able to attend the class, please do listen the recording, right? So package holiday is part of the travel and tourism industry and includes the transportation, hotel and transfers. It includes the insurance as well. There are then the allied services. It include the excursion trips as well. But primarily speaking, these are the three major areas. So 3S holiday packages are the most popular and or also referred as the mass market. Your company is concentrating on 3S holiday packages. Suns, Sun, Sea, Sand. Dynamic packages are also popular, though not covered under insurance by WTOL. Dynamic packages are the packages where the customer is buying the individual services from the tour operator and not buying them as a package. So that is also increasing. We understand that because of the emergence of the digital platform and the accessibility that the customers have got, now they prefer to make their own packages because those standard packages, those are multiple of 7 days, and those would be having the standard features. So nowadays the customers are preferring to select their packages, but you know that the information given in the pre-scene is telling us that still this 3S holiday packages are the most popular among the Westlandians. Westlandian, the people living in your country, Westland, where your company is located. Demand for holiday packages is still strong, and Happywell is selling 3S holiday through its shops and online channels, right? 65% of your sales are being done through the online channels, 35% sales are being done through the 310 or 11 those booking shops where you got the representative sitting physically and advising the customers. Happywell is vertically integrated and selling on the basis of quality by having control of most of the services being provided in packages, holiday packages. You got your own airline, you got your own hotels, you got your own distribution channels. So you could understand that the major the segments of the value chain are being controlled by Happywell directly. Why you are doing this? To have a control over the quality of the services being provided to the customers. And that's also, it is also important to understand that when you would be having this type of a structure, it would pose a the burden of the overheads on your company during the lean season. We have seen that in our pre-seen details, in the company detail, that the companies have the different models. Some of the companies operating, or the some of the tour operators uh, doing business in this industry, they are asset light. They don't own the heavy assets, but they then got the benefit in terms of avoiding the overhead cost during the lean season. But there are the disadvantages as well. During the peak season, they would be getting these services from the third party at a higher rate, and then there are the chances that sometime they would not be able to get these services, right? So these are the pros and cons, some of the pros and cons of uh, having the ownership of the assets which are being utilized to provide the services in the value chain of holiday package industry. And then there are obviously certain disadvantages as well. So important to remember these things. Then aviation, hotels, local experience and marketing department are providing services to each other. So making transfer pricing an important topic to be tested in exam. Don't be distracted or don't get confused that these are now currently in your current model, they are selling the services to each other. No, these are just, I'm explaining it because these are the distinct areas. These are the distinctive services. Many of the tour operators, they are just doing this marketing, which includes the promotion, marketing, sales, and booking, right? And they are getting these services of hotels and airline from the third party. There is no information given in pre-scene that how they are managing the experience of the tourist at the destination. In your case, we have been told that we have a team which is uh, which is ensuring to enrich the experience of the customer at the destinations as well. In like these the look at the destination, there is a team of representative, and we have been told that many of them are inducted from Westland and they take the work permit to work on those destinations. And we have been also been told that your company needs to comply with the Westlandian laws in terms of employment as well as the employment laws of the destination country. We discussed there that there could be a consideration that your company might be inducting the representative from those destination countries instead of from taking them from your own country. In my opinion, and if we would be looking at a larger scale, no country likes that unless if it is a if it is a restriction, no country likes that a company operating in their country brings the labor from their own country, because you are making money, generating money from their country, and then those working there, the employees, if they don't belong to that country, they would be making money from there and will be sending back to their homes. So from the real world, we understand that the countries like the employment to be promoted in their country. So that's why they would be encouraging that the most of the employees that the Happywell or any company operating on this model should induct from the local industry. Transfer pricing is important in a case, in a manner that these like airline, they are selling the ticket. Their job is to take the passenger from the origin country to the destination country. So there is a very distinctive service that they are providing. They have their own cost structure, which must be very clear and understandable. And you could attribute it to this service, air transportation, directly by using the activity-based costing. We understand that your airplanes have the single type of the cabins, means that all the seats are the economy class seats. We also understand that the seat pitch contributes a lot to the comfort of the tourist or the customer, traveling customer. But at the same time, we also understand that increasing the seat pitch would be reducing the number of seats in the airplane and consequently the revenue from those flights, right? So airlines need to create an optimum level of the seat configuration where they are taking care of the customer comfort as well as they would be making the appropriate amount of revenue. Please remember these discussions because you might see a question. So these facts are going to help you to strengthen your arguments there. Then the transfer pricing, as I told you, that airline is providing a distinctive service. So just imagine that when the booking department or the marketing department is creating a package, one part of the whole service is the air service, air air travel. Now, the aviation department might be wondering, or they might be asking that, how their performance would be evaluated. Now, if it is a cost center, and if there would not be a check on them, there would not be a responsibility, that the responsibility assigned to that department in terms of efficiency, effectiveness. They might have the tendency to incur too much cost in their operation that the whole package become unviable. The profitability would erode. So how you will manage that your aviation? It is not only that the services would be provided at a lower cost. It is also the problem many a times is that in a cost center, the managers just don't care about that how much cost is being incurred, because they understand that they are not responsible for the profitability. They just need to incur the cost. So the cost targets might be given to them by the head office, one approach, and the other could be that whatever the services which aviation department providing to the booking department or the marketing department, that could have been determined under transfer pricing principles. In transfer pricing, we understand that there are certain goals that we want to achieve. The first of all is the goal congruence, that aviation would be operating in the best interest of the organization by keeping the cost optimal. So your cost of the whole package is an addition, or that you could say that that is the total of the cost being incurred on marketing, air transport, and the hotel accommodation and the local experience, right? So at each segment, you need to optimize the cost. You remember the target costing concept, that is also linked that the cost needs to be controlled. Prices, you have a limited control over the prices. Your company should strive to manage the cost. So transfer pricing would ensure that the aviation department is operating in a effectively and efficient manner. So then how that the marketing department and aviation department could settle the transfer pricing for the services that booking department is getting, or the marketing department getting from aviation. We understand that your airline could sell the tickets outside to the third party. We understand that those flights, charter flights, can be sold to the independent operator. So intermediary market of your product is there. Now there were another principle about the capacity. You do have the spare capacity or not. Now there could be a situation during the peak season, your aviation division might not be having the surplus capacity because the demand is there. So then how you will ensure that the aviation division sells all of its flights to your marketing department? So there are the principles that have been told about the transfer pricing, that generally speaking, when the competitive market is available for the intermediary product, marginal cost is more appropriate to determine the price settlement of for the transfer goods. Remember that this is just for the management and to control the performance. It has absolutely no impact on your financial result. Transfer pricing, we have studied it. The companies do it for the tax purposes. For the hotels, like your hotels and resorts are located in the different jurisdiction. If the tax is high there in those jurisdictions, your company Happywell will try to bring down the profits in those destinations. How you will do that? The hotel is getting the services of your marketing department, right? So you might charge for those services. Those local representative who are giving the guidance to the customers, they are taking the support from the head office through the 24/7 call centers. You remember we studied that. So you might be charging them a higher cost, a little bit higher cost to suppress their profits in the country where they're operating, because those are the subsidiaries and those are companies are registered and they must be paying the taxes there. So transfer pricing concept become applicable in terms of the hotels as well. So I'm just giving you an overall understanding, a brief about that, how transfer pricing is an important topic. And I'm sure that in one of the variant they might be asking about the transfer pricing. So you should have a very clear understanding about this transfer pricing, concept of the transfer pricing. For the knowledge areas, we are not going to discuss that here. As I told you that we spent a time on that, and because of the time constraint, you need to go and read that yourself. That is the part of your those presentation that I have shared with you. And if you want to go into more details, you could go and read the transfer pricing chapter in the book. So this was the transfer. This is the the thing that I wanted. These are the certain topics that I are the issues that I wanted to talk to you about the transfer pricing concept. Then there could be a rise in demand of dynamic package, as well as due to changes in weather, customer might prefer to choose destination currently not being served by Happywell. This may require the change in current business model. Now the change in current business model uh, could be because of the various reason. That could be for a reason that some of the services you are currently not providing to the customers directly. So your company might decide to provide those services in-house. Like, for instance, you might be considering to acquire a transfer chain of the that the chain, a company which do have the very the chain, and they do have their existence in many destinations, that company providing these services of the transfers from airport to the hotel. So you could acquire that. Now you will see that how this whole acquisition would best fit in your business model. So from your business model, you will understand the psyche of your management, that they prefer to be integrated vertically. Many of the services are being provided. You will create a whole narrative which will support this decision of the transfer, acquiring a company providing the transfer services to the customers from the airport to hotel and hotel to airport. Similarly, then you could create a narrative that we have the overheads now. In the peak season, we are already incurring a lot of overheads. So, that acquiring the company, another company, and that adding it to our portfolio, that would be increasing our overheads further. So that is the disadvantage. So whenever you would be talking about any issue, you're gonna look at all the aspects. It is not like that you would be just looking at that issue from a one aspect and you will build your opinion. No, you will give your opinion as I am justifying with the arguments from the pre-scene. In your pre-scene, we have been told that what type of the asset your company own in your value creation chain, and how you are doing it. So that you will compare it with your current business model, and then you will see. And a typical style of doing is that you understand that the business model is actually revolves all the activities in the business model. But basically, a business model is all the activities which are performed to create the value for the customer. So that start by identifying the stakeholder, not the customer, to the stakeholder, creating the value for these stakeholders. So you do have, first of all, you will have to understand that who are your stakeholder. Then you will have to understand their requirement, and then you will be thinking. Once you will understand their requirement, that will become the value. Like, you would be defining the value for a stakeholder, like the government stakeholder, employee stakeholder, environmental agencies are the stakeholder, IT technology companies are your stakeholders. So you know that you will be jot down a whole list of the stakeholder, and then you will see that how the value could be defined for each of the stakeholder, right? So similarly, then you would see that how the value is being created and a new addition or something which is like there could be a situation where you are spinning off your airline function. You are making it a separate unit or you are spinning it off and giving it to someone else, right? So now your company decides that we will no more be operating our own airline. We would be taking the services from the third party, right? So now you will see that how it will have an impact on your company, right? So this is the you will compare it with your business model. So you will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of owning the airline, and then you know that the disadvantages of getting the services from the third party. This is important. So a typical business model question requires the understanding of the whole value creation system in any business model, and the digital technologies plays a great role. So you should have an understanding of the impact of these digital disruption on your business model. Like, for instance, the business model of the financial industries has changed altogether because of the digital disruption, cryptocurrency. If that is implemented, do you think that all these financial institutions, those would be having the same infrastructure that they are carrying now? No, and nowadays because of the online banking, you must have seen that now the banks are not in growing their bank branches. There was a time when a bank was being known for its number of branches, but now the things are changing, and in coming time, those things that would be altogether a different story. You know that if in our market the most of the vendor they would start to accept the credit card without charging additional money to you. You know that you will see that even the requirement of these ATMs that would also be going down. You won't have to draw the money from these ATMs. Go there outside in European countries or Western countries, you won't see too many ATMs there, because even if you buy something of a €1 or a $1, you can pay it through the dollar through your card. And now the things are moving even more advanced that people could pay through the mobile through the app, right? So the idea is that the digital technologies would also be having impact on your business model. Your distribution channels would require a fundamental change. You are managing you know the booking office 311, that's carrying a lot of cost, so you might have to reconsider it, so that you will evaluate that how it would have an impact on your business model. For instance, I will be giving you some of the arguments to trigger your thought process, that having an office actually give you the advantage that the people have gets a personal touch. There is a customer segment, they want to interact physically with the people to get the experience because they don't feel comfortable. But there is that one segment, and then there is a segment which is comfortable. You know, they want the convenience, they don't want to visit the office, they want to do it online. So the younger people who are tech savvy and they could use these gadgets, they feel more confident while doing it through their mobile or laptop, right? So you will be giving this type of analysis, that if we would be reducing the number of offices, this is how it would be having an impact on the different segments of your customers. Always remember, unless it is glaring and quite obvious, try to give a balanced opinion, try to analyze the both sides, and then come to any recommendation or suggestion, and that too when it is asked. Many a times the examiner might just be asking you to analyze the situation, so there you don't need to make any opinion, you just need to give a balanced analysis. So reading question is important, reading question carefully is important. So increase in the popularity of online distribution channels might require to close down the current sale office. It might test the concept of managing redundancies as well as the profitability. You understand that profitability of the distribution channel profitability, we have studied it in great detail, although that's a small topic. Uh, in advanced management accounting, we studied that how you would be managing the redundancies, that when you are going online and reducing the number of the offices, don't you think that it would have an impact on your employees? It will have an impact. So the question might ask you that how you will manage it, or you might be sending your employees on a secondment, right? To the other destination. There they might be operating as the tour guide. That you are having the representative at the various destination who are performing this job, and those are mostly sent from your country, Westland. So you will see that how you could accommodate the employees which are being spared from your booking offices, because it is inevitable that the booking office thing will have to be reduced. But it depends again on the given situation of the question. But apparently, looking at the trends of the sale, we could safely assume that that you will have to reduce the number of the booking offices. And when you would be doing that, that's going to have an impact on your current business model. That's going to have an impact on your employment patterns, that the employees currently employed on these offices. Those also needs to be taken care of, and the various aspects related to managing their layoff redundancies, or to accommodate them in other parts of the business, that would require a careful consideration. Function of the different department will be evaluated to determine the performance. So concept of responsibility center should also be tested. We have been told that aviation is cost center, hotels is, I think, also cost center. We have not been told maybe about the marketing, because it must be a revenue center. It is generating the revenue, and an overall organization is a profit center. So there might be a question which requires that the airline now would start to operate as a profit center or as an investment center. Ideally speaking, if I would be running that business, I would make them SBUs, and those SBUs would be the at least the profit center. Like, you could have the control over the investment decision, but for the other cost and revenue, you will make them responsible, and you will ask them, they need to generate the profit. But this would have an impact that then your aviation division might be considering to sell the services to the outside um, independent tour operator to maximize its profits. You could understand that why the Happywell is keeping it a cost center. If it would be a profit center, then there would be a cutthroat competition, like among even the departments as well. So there could be a good offer from the independent operator for a flight, but your marketing department has prepared the package, or they need to prepare the package, and they need the air services for that destination. But you got another customer from the outside which is offering you a more good price. So being a profit center, you will try to maximize your profit, because your performance is depending on the profitability of the aviation division, whereas the other division, your company, that marketing, that might not be. So again, the responsibility center, that how you could measure their performance um, by declaring them, the different responsibility centers. So these were the some of the topics that I just wanted to talk to you. Then there is a project appraisal, that is the same, like you would be using the NPV, IRR. In project appraisal, the critical thing is to determine the cash flows. That is the most important thing, that from where you will be getting the data about the revenues, from where you will be getting the data from the cost. You will have to decide that which is the relevant cost, which is irrelevant cost, sunk cost, and committed cost. Those concepts are quite relevant when it comes to evaluating a project, and actually those are the complicated things. Otherwise, that doing calculating the NPV, that's not a big deal, right? So then what else could be the situation? The project management, if you are going to acquire another hotel in another destination, or you are going to acquire a new airplane, that could be taken as a project, and you might be tested on the concept related to the project management. Then the leadership and the management, that is very important, that you are negotiating the agreements with the third parties. So negotiation is very important. Delegation is very important, because your representative are resolving the problems of the customer then and there at those destinations. So you need to empower them. So you need to understand that how you could effectively delegate to your those employees. Then we talked about the finance lease and the operating lease. An airplane, for all practical purposes, would be on operating lease, so you might have to discuss it. Sale and lease back could be an option of financing because you have the assets. You might sell an airplane to a leasing company and you could lease it back. That would be giving you the finances, like you will get the quick cash. Similarly, what other topics? Then revenue contract from the revenue from the contracts. You might enter into a contract with a charter operator to provide them the services for the 40 flights in the next 6 months. And during that 6 months, the reporting date falls. Reporting date comes, so you will see that how much services that you have provided to your customer matching principle. We discussed about that yesterday. That's important. I believe these are the generally the topic. These the human performance related performance evaluation is very important. So you need to understand that what type of the performance system you need to have in your company. Then the leadership style is important. Change management is important. You might be bringing the chat bots in your company, like and those would be helping your offices, and that would be making from a certain point onward, then the physical human will take over. Before that, the chatbot bot will be responding to the questions of the customer. So you need to understand that how you will make your managers to work effectively with the technology. So these type of the things, I believe, whatever is coming to my mind arbitrarily, I'm explaining to you these. But again, the point is that if you understand your business, if you understand your company, you should not have any confusion about the facts of your company. Then you would be able to look at the question and the requirement of the question from the lens of the facts of your company. So you would not be looking at the question independently. You keep in mind that you are reading the question with all the information about your pre-scene in back of your mind, right? So a good answer, when you are writing an answer, what would be making a good answer? A good answer require the sound understanding of the knowledge areas with good application on the issues arising from a given scenario in exam. Now, I emphasize again and again in my previous classes, I have emphasized that knowledge areas, pre-scene, and the scenario given in the question. Your job is to put together all these three things in an orderly manner, right? So you are going to create an answer having all these three elements in your mind. And believe you me, if you remember this thing and you train your mind to look at the things in a systematic manner, these three areas provide you the 100% answer. Like you will find the answer in those, the things like in your pre-scene, knowledge area, and in your scenario. So if you could effectively amalgamate these all three aspects, you would be creating a wonderful answer. The problem generally is that the student look at the given scenario independently. They forget about what they have studied in the books. They forget about what they have studied about their company Happywell. So they don't relate it. Even if they understand, they don't write it on their paper. Because remember that you are not there to explain to the examiner. Your writing would be there. So whatever you are thinking, put it in writing. Just having it in your mind is not going to be communicated to the examiner. It is important to write there in exam effectively. So written communication is important. So for the written communication, practice, practice, practice. And by the way, case study exam whole thing is like after having the understanding, creating a base knowledge, and that developing all developing your ability to understand this pre-seen and unseen. Then the practice is the main thing. A good answer requires clear and comprehensive discussion and offers the explanation and justification. The explanation and justification. If you If you could recall, now since morning we are talking about various topics, and I am giving you the explanation and justification from the pre-scene and from the knowledge areas. The guidance is coming from the knowledge areas, facts are coming from the pre-scene, and that is becoming the explanation and justification. Remember it. Just writing short answer without explanation and justification will be fetching the lowest mark in the examination. Justification for the recommendation, suggestions, and arguments. So here, when we know that what are the positive things and what would be making your answer a good answer, we also need to have an understanding that what would be making your answer a poor answer. So the first of all, failure to address requirement of task. This is a very common, the mistake. This is the very common reason of the poor performance in the exam, that the student has not understood the requirement of the question. Now this requires the attention to detail. Read each and every word of the question carefully, because sometimes a change of a one word may changes the requirement of the whole question. You might be thinking something else, but the question is asking for something different. Limited technical understanding of the syllabus content. Like you don't have the idea about the transfer pricing, you don't have the idea about the target costing, you don't understand that how the target costing could be implemented, you don't have the understanding about the project appraisal, project management, change management, you don't have the understanding of the group accounts, you don't have the understanding that how you will be recognizing the intangible asset, internally generated intangible asset. You don't know the how you're going to treat the research and development expenses. For instance, I'm just giving you, you don't understand that what is the business model, right? So if you don't know that, how come you could write on these topics? These are the topics now. Today, I am talking about almost, I would be talking about each and every topic of your, the books. We would not, some of the topics, we would be touching them briefly. The others, we might be going a little bit in a more detail. But these are all the topics. And these are the topics which have always been tested: leadership and management, change management, performance appraisal, responsibility center concept, pricing techniques. So these are all, now I'm asking, when I say that the pricing strategy, you know that what is your pricing strategy. When I'm telling you about the business model, you know that what is your business model. Research and development, you might be doing the research and analysis from the online platforms, from the social media, and you might be looking at the preference and accordingly creating the holiday packages, right? So this is how you need to look at the things in the exam. So failure to address question requirement is very important, and that the understanding the syllabus content, that is also very important. These are the, you could say that the critical success factors, or the critical areas where your performance is very important. You need to train your mind to do that. So remember my these words when you are sitting in the exam. You need to read the question carefully. Unspotted recommendation with little or no justification. As I told you, that explanation and justification. So if that is missing, the many a student, they come back from their exam and they have a complaint that, sir, I was, I knew the answer, but I don't know that, or what should I write on it. I just wrote like a one paragraph, one and a half paragraph, and then there was nothing to. Why they are unable to write it? Because they don't provide the explanation, they don't provide the justification in their answer. So that makes their answer a short answer. Or you could do that explanation and justification. It would be coming from the facts given in your pre-scene. It would be coming from the knowledge that you have studied in the knowledge areas. It would be coming from the understanding of the question requirement scenario given in the question. That would become making the basis for the explanation and justification. Illogical or unrealistic application to the issues arising from scenario. That their imaginative answer, that you what you are thinking is actually not there. It's not in the pre-scene, it's not in the question. You are thinking something imaginative, making something out of nothing. So that is also like considered as a poor answer because that would be irrelevant. It might be a perfect answer, but would be irrelevant. Let's take a small break. ये जितनी भी बातें हो